Hi everyone, welcome to the Massillon Public Library's Geode program. I'm Bridget and I will be walking you through how to do this today. In your packets, you guys will have little baggies of pre-made crystals. So you'll have bigger ones and then you will have little tiny small pieces and then you will have really little tiny small pieces. So if you want to pour those out on the surface that you're working on, make sure you keep them into their 3 piles. I will try to refer to them as small, medium, large as we are going through. So you shouldn't get confused. And so this first step, I'm going to just be showing so that way you should have enough regular sized glue sticks in your packets. So that way, if you want to create another geode after this program is over, you can do that with your parents or grandparents later, okay? So we're going to just start out with the pre-set up supplies that I have. And the first step is I'm going to explain with a little Dixie cup, and then we have parchment paper and a rubber band. So you kind of fold this up and crinkle it up a little bit. We're going to make a cone. And then we're going to open that back up because we want it kind of crinkled up so it creates a crevice. Then stick it just a little bit down inside the cup. All right, you don't want it to go too far, but just enough that you have a little bit of a dip. Then you take your rubber band and you put it around top. Okay, so fairly simple. You guys' already look like that, but they have the glue in them. And so I'm going to take my glue gun. And what you're going to do, see if I can do this without tangling up in the cord. You're going to squeeze the glue and kind of let it run down to the middle. My glue gun is a little bit bigger than you guys's, so mine puts out a lot more glue faster. So you might have to actually move yours to the center, and that's okay. But all you're going to do is just go around the whole thing and just squeeze the glue and let it drip down towards the middle. The reason that I did this ahead of time for everybody is because after I have completed this, and as you can see, it really didn't take me that long, but with the smaller glue guns, it might take a little bit of extra time. So my glue is pretty hot. So what I'm going to do is just kind of swirl the glue around in there so that way it can make the whole thing a little bit thicker as it's drying. So that way you don't have it all just settling in the bottom. And then once I feel like it is cooled down enough, I will then be setting this aside, and it has to cool down for at least 15 minutes. So because of the program, we didn't think that everybody would have enough time to be able to do this with their glue guns, let them sit for 15 minutes, and then actually decorate them. So I prepped this set ahead of time just to make sure everybody had it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. And then I'm going to start in with some close-up shots. So this is the part where you're going to need the X-Acto knife. And I highly recommend parents, grandparents, you do this part for them. It's fairly simple, but because we are involving a knife, just want to make sure everybody is safe. Right, so let me move the camera here. Let me know if anybody has any problems seeing. So first thing that I did was I took a normal sized glue stick and I cut them in half. All right, so this half is what we're going to be working with. You just take the X-Acto knife and you're just going to trim down the sides so you don't have curved edges. And then you turn it a little bit and you trim some more. And you save all of these pieces that we're trimming off. And you just continue to trim the whole way They can be big pieces, they can be small pieces. That's not going to really make a difference at this point. You're just wanting to get rid of the curves. Yep. And as you can see, it's slipping for me, and that's why I recommend parents doing this, because we don't want anybody to get hurt. Okay. And I think that I got all of those sides done. And then I flip it over so I can get the part that I was holding on to and get rid of those curved edges too. Okay, so now we have flat edges. Now I don't know how well you guys can see it, but I have like a fat piece right here, and this gets skinny, and then this whole piece seems to be about the same size. So what I would do with this one, here, let me move my medium geodes out of the way. What I would do with this one is right there where that fat part is, I'm then going to take this and cut it at an angle. And what I did there is I created one geode that's all ready. And then I take this one that's ready and I just create another little cut off the top of it. And we create a medium-sized geode out of the piece that I cut off. And then we have one of the large-sized geodes. So I'll put those over there. So then with this big piece, I would do the same thing. In order to get these little tiny pieces or small pieces, we are actually going to take all of these shavings that we got, and they stick to your fingers. So take all of these shavings and I just group them up together. And then my scissors, then I just take scissors and just trim them off. And move my fingers some more. Yep, watch my elbow. And once you get to the point where you don't feel comfortable holding it anymore, you don't have to cut anymore. It gives you lots of little tiny pieces. So I'm just going to take this little bit that I have left and I'm going to set it back aside. And you continue to do that. Now, say you create some really nice sized big geodes, but you don't have very many of the medium sized ones. You can do the same thing with just taking an edge and just start cutting chunks off, rotating back between giving it a straight edge or giving it a flat edge. So we're going to cut that off there. So there's another big one for us. And this one could be classified as big or little. So you can go ahead and put it wherever you want. I'm going to stick it with our medium ones, and we should be good with that. So we've got our 3 different categories, and I'm going to put my X-Acto knife away to make sure that it is safely stashed. And put all of our medium crystals back where they go, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the part that parents are going to need to do for kids, or at least I recommend for parents to do it for the kids. Now we're going to get into making the geode all together. And yep, I'm going to pull this back up for us because I think I should be able to just show you each step as I do it. Yep, hold on. So what Blair was just asking was, could she take her glue out of her cup? Yes, you can. You can also reuse your cup if you want to. So this piece, you can just go ahead and set aside and you can re-glue it later. Now, I am seeing in Blair's, we have little tiny holes. So if you notice in yours that you have any little tiny holes, you can go ahead and you can take your glue stick or your glue gun and you can just fill in those slight little areas. Try not to put too much glue
There.
because you don't want to have to make the whole thing start all over with the whole drying process. Yes, again, with the drying process.
Really bad.
All right, so I think we have filled in all of her
Her
holes.
holes.
Blair, please don't repeat what I'm saying as I'm saying it. Thank you. All right, I found a couple more up here. Okay, and if yours ends up being, I don't want to call it stringy, if it ends up with like cracks and stuff in it from you can see each of the lines of where you put the glue, don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. And it's not going to affect your geode because we are going to be painting it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I am going to set this down for a second. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to grab our colored paint. So yeah, I'm going to let you do this. Oh, and Blair already grabbed a paper towel. If you guys don't have a paper towel, if you want to go and grab one of those real quick, I will give you a couple seconds. And here's your crystals. We're going to start with the large crystals. These are the only ones that you're going to be painting. So I'm going to do one and then I will let you do the others, okay? So what we're going to do is you're going to find the flat side. So see, you have a pointed side and then you have the flat side. So you want to paint the flat side on the bottom here. And you don't want a whole lot of paint because you want the color to be able to seep up and through. And then you're going to just paint a little tiny bit up the edges. Not a lot, because you want light to be able to shine through it. And then once you're done, you can set it down on your paper towel. And then I will let Blair continue with that. And I'm going to double check. Yep, this has hardened back up from patching up all of those holes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my marker that's in my packet and you are going to color the inside, all of it. So go ahead, we're going to do those two steps kind of simultaneously. So either one that you want to start on, feel free to. I'm not going to rush anybody. And we're just going to get all of these knocked out of the way, right? So coloring and painting and having all kinds of fun. So what colors did everybody get? I'm gonna say everybody's muted.
Natalia, go ahead.
Can you like get out
Ooh, I see yellow.
once?
Can I get out what?
Can like I get out color like both colors and then I'll close the other side on.
Yeah, if you want. So just a little tiny bit of the paint out.
Okay.
There you go, honey. There's another brush. Ooh, let me get you some.
And when you guys are making your second geode later, if you want to use different colors, you can do that if you have other paints or maybe some almost dried out nail polish that somebody in your house doesn't want anymore, or you have some leftover markers. You can use any of those things while doing this.
I got pink.
You got pink? That's great.
I got this color. Brown.
Is that brown?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, see, we got a red marker and we got red paint. I know that some of the packets, they had different colors, like they would have, I think it was the brown had maybe an orange marker or a yellow marker with it.
So you got an orange marker. I got a pink marker with my pink.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the instruction packets, it says that you can use different colors, but I wanted to make sure that I showed everybody you can use the same color and it still works out just as well.
Yeah.
Okay, you're already on your last crystal. How about everybody else? How are you doing with painting your crystals and coloring them in?
So the crystal.
Your paintbrush, we're going to wipe off the extra paint. Oh, here, do you want to finish coloring that while I do it? We're going to wipe off all of the extra paint. And then we're going to put the lid back on our colored paint because we won't need it anymore. There it goes. And then on the paper towel, I'm going to just kind of brush the paintbrush back and forth to get as much of the extra paint out as we can. But we're going to be using the same brush for the black paint in just a couple minutes. And so we'll put that down right there. You got it? Okay.
I'm gonna go wash my hands, Mom.
Okay. If any of you guys need to go wash your hands too, because you got a little bit of paint on them, that's all right. Let's see.
Mom, once I'm done, could you take our paintbrush over the same thing for paintbrush? Oh, okay.
All right, so I'm almost done coloring here. What about you guys? How's everybody doing with their painting and their coloring? You got the insides almost done? Nice. See, that looks really pretty. Wow, you guys are doing great. Okay. Okay. All right, so I think I'm going to call this done. And you can see I have little tiny pieces that are still clear. And that's because when I was using this glue gun, I kept getting distracted. And so I had my little lines, which was why I was telling you guys when you're using the smaller glue guns and you're going through, you might run into the same problem. And so this will show you that that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you cover every tiny little surface, it still works out just as well. Okay, I'm gonna put that down. All right, so how is everybody? Are you guys still all doing good? All right, can I get thumbs up if you guys are ready to move on to the next step?
We are ready.
All right, so I've got almost all thumbs ups. Okay.
Feel like I made it, Mama. I mean, probably need to put it on.
So the next step that I'm going to do is actually clear off my surface because I have a bunch of my little shavings and everything in my way.
No.
So let me put those over there. All right, so I'm going to take my my little bowl and I'm going to pick some of my geodes. And what you're going to do is just pick a place and put a little dab of glue and then stick your geode inside so it's sticking straight up out of it, okay? And then once you get those in, you can just go ahead and actually fill in all of them. Just try to do one at a time. If your glue gun is really hot, you might be able to stick all of them on with a bigger glob. You want to help me? And so just put them anywhere, and they don't have to be perfectly straight up. Once we get into some of the smaller and the medium-sized ones, you will actually see that the medium-sized crystals, the smaller ones, they'll kind of knock these ones over and out of the way, and it makes it a little bit more realistic looking. So a little bit more glue here. Hold on. Making sure they're all stuck in there. Just use your fingertips and kind of push them down. Make sure they're in there really nicely. And see, and that's what ours look like. And if you have one that's still wet, it might get covered with paint a little bit higher than I said, and that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the start of ours.
Mine's really cute.
Super cute. Okay, and then I'm going to move our paintbrush and our paper towel out of the way. And I'm going to angle this back down.
For me.
So I hope you guys will be able to see this. In the directions, it says that you need to divide it into 4 sections. When I was working with the glue guns and trying to create them, sometimes it worked out really well if the glue gun was hot enough to divide it into 4. Sometimes I had to divide it into 6 sections, and that's okay. Just work in little tiny sections, and you will just put a little bit of glue. Yep, around the edges, down into the middle where the big crystals are. Then we're going to take just a couple of the medium ones and just sprinkle them in anywhere that you put the glue, or set them on top. You can use your fingers, some of the deeper parts and in between your larger crystals. You'll be able to use the toothpick to really get them on there. Hold on, Blair, I'll let you do the next section. And then if you need to, you can go back and put a little bit more glue. Mine dried a little too quickly for me. And sprinkle your small crystals on. Those are the ones that you need to use the toothpick and kind of push them down in there and let them stick up any direction. And you can take it and shake it out over top of your small crystals, just in case any are going to come loose. Then you move on to the next little section and do the same thing. Just create a little triangle. And then we're going to stick in some of our medium-sized ones and some of our smalls. And then use the toothpick and kind of push everything into place where you want it. I think we should be able to fit another big one down there, or medium-sized one, I should say. Yep. Yeah, Blair's showing me that I'm needing to replace one of my glue sticks. So, yep, so she's going to do that for me. Sprinkle these on. And then some more of the small ones. And there's not really any rhyme or reason to it. Just get them in there anywhere that they want to go. And once you get them in there, if you feel that you need to put a couple more, feel free to. Okay, do you want to squeeze this next little section of glue in? Okay, here you go.
You never let me do that.
Yep, right here. There we go. Let go. And then we squeeze a little bit more. Good job. Okay, now get some of your medium-sized crystals and put them in there. I will follow up with some of these small ones.
You never
And yeah, well, that's because normally the glue guns are for adults to use. But if you have supervision, like right now, we can do it together.
Supervision to use a.
All right, and then I'm on my last little bit here. And you can see I still have quite a few crystals left, and that's okay. Well, you'll see that you'll want to touch up some of your areas in a second. Blair. Okay. All right. And shake some of those extra crystals out because I haven't done it in a while and I can see some are loose. And then if I'm looking at mine, I can see down in the center of my crystals, I don't really have anything. So I am going to put some glue down in there and do the same thing using the small crystals. Just kind of sprinkling them in and then using the toothpick to push them into where I want them to be. And I'm sure you guys can see that sometimes when I move from one place to another, I'll take some of these little tiny pieces with me, and that's all right. You can just move them around. You can take them off completely. All right, and here's what I've got. So tap out some of my extra crystals. And then all of these I have left over, and I can either keep them separated to make another geode later, or I can group all of them up together and go ahead and throw them away because we don't need them anymore if we're not going to make any more. We are going to make another one after we're all done. All right. So we're back. And okay. So how are you guys doing? You guys still putting crystals in place? All right, looks like some of you guys are good. I'm gonna say, I see a lot of you guys are snacking. That's awesome. Okay. So here, Blair, we're gonna scooch all of our stuff to the side. So me and you can do that more later. Okay. And the next little part that I'm going to do is we are going to take the black paint and we are going to paint the back. So not the part that has all of our crystals that we just did. We're going to paint the outside of that shell. Yep. So we're going to pull our paper towel back out. Set your, yeah, I'll let you see it too. Yep. So set your geode with your crystals face down. And then go ahead and just dip in, and you will want to gob this on. So lots and lots of the black paint on the back. Don't be messy with it, but you want to make sure that it stays wet while you do the whole thing. So go ahead. I will let you do that real quick. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to be taking our sand and we will be dumping it over top of this wet black paint. So if you notice that your black paint starts to dry, you can go ahead and start sprinkling some of the sand on. If you mix black paint and the sand together, it's not a big deal. You can paint over top of it and it still works out. You can even take some of your glitter that's in your packet and sprinkle that on top. So the sand, the glitter, the black paint, you can kind of do all together. You can do some of it. You can choose to leave out things. So if you don't want to use the glitter, which I don't think we are, or you just said you do. Okay, so we are going to use some of the glitter. Or if you choose that you don't want to use the sand, you don't have to. It just makes the crystal look a little bit more authentic, having that rock surface of the sand, a little bit of the shimmers from your glitter. It just makes it look a little bit better, okay? Yep, we'll move that on this side. We ready? Nope. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm seeing quite a few with paintbrushes going at it. If anybody needs me to slow down, that's fine. Just let me know. Yeah, can I help?
You can do the rest.
Oh, I can do the rest? Awesome. That's very nice of you. I was going to say, and it was super nice of you. Let me help use your packet and show everybody how to do this, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, for those of you that don't know, Blair is my daughter and often helps me out with these packets. And since everybody was getting their own glue guns and all of that, I said that it would be perfectly fine if she did it with me and we shared a glue gun so we could share this with everybody. So we've got, whoops, we've got Blair's all ready, and I'm seeing a couple spots on hers that are starting to look a little dull. So if you're seeing those, go ahead and put a little bit more paint on them. And if it's still looking nice and shiny, then that's great. That means your paint hasn't dried too much. And then this next part is what you're going to do with your sand. And you'll get a little bit of paint on your hands, but just take your sand and kind of sprinkle it over top. So let me see if I can do this more towards the camera so you can see. And then just like we did with the crystals, you're going to turn it upside down to have some of that sand fall back off. And then since Blair wants some of her glitter on there too.
You want it to be on.
Okay, we're going to do that in a minute. We're not there just yet. So I'm just going to do a little bit. And then I'm going to seal that back out. And we are going to let this sit for a minute. Just to try to make it so that way all of that paint doesn't transfer to your hands too much. So if anybody wants to take this opportunity to either catch up or to go wash their hands, they can do that. And we're going to let our geode dry just a second. Can you give me a wet paper towel? I forgot to grab that. Okay, so how is everybody doing? Everybody's doing good? All right. And you can see that other one that I had started with, it's now dry and ready. If you touch the middle of it when you're waiting for it to dry and it's still like peaks up or anything like that, then go ahead and wait a little bit more time. If it like your finger and creates a peak in the middle, just use that in with your geodes. No rock is absolutely perfect, and so don't expect your shell to be either. All right, so just cleaning up my fingers a little bit here. Okay. And my work surface. Can you get me another paper towel, sweetie? All right. Anybody have any problems or questions? Nope. Nope. Is it Megan? You have a question?
Okay, what do you want?
I have a friend, and actually it's my cousin, and his name is Luke, and the other one is Julia. And he had a monster when he turned off the lights in the dark, and it was in his bathroom, and I made a little monster potion.
I'm sorry.
You're okay.
And worked, and then it got rid of the monster, and it worked.
Wow, that is amazing. I was gonna say, you know, we found a cat once, and the cat, when we first got it, came into our house and it hid in all of my kids' closets and underneath their beds. And so what did my children decide? They decided that the cat needed to be named Monster. And then it became the big joke in the family that everybody had a monster under their bed and in their closets because we had a cat named Monster.
So silly.
Okay, so hopefully everybody's geodes are going to be dry enough. So we've got our sand, our crystals, our black paint on the back. And then on the front, it's gonna kind of look like this. Not very inspiring, is it? I'm gonna say, that's okay. This is where the nail polish comes in. And Blair is very excited about this part. So we are going to set this back down. And now I have paint back on my hands. So if you do too, that's all right. And let's show you. You're okay. All right, so you're just gonna take your nail polish and you're just going to like kind of like dab it in there. So all the way down to the bottom and just paint everything. Okay, I will let you do this in a minute. I just need to explain first. That's part of the deal. Okay, and then you paint up the sides of your crystals too, if you want. Since most of you should have a clear base nail polish with sparkle in it, all this is going to do is give all of your glued crystals a shine with a little bit of the glitter mixed in, which will make all of this pop and stand out a little bit better. If you want extra shine to it and use extra glitter, you can take your glue gun and go around the edges and then take the rest of the glitter from your packet and sprinkle it over top of that glue. Make sure that if you decide that you want to do another one of these, you are using the nail polish that came in your packet. Don't try to borrow somebody's nail polish that doesn't give you permission, because you will pick up some of those really small, tiny crystals and they can end up back inside the nail polish. So you don't really want it to be one that you're going to be trying to use on your nails again later. No. All right. So I did this first half and I'm going to let Blair finish out and do the second half of her crystal since we're doing this together. And there you go.
What have you done before?
Okay.
Yep.
Yep, you see it now? Okay. And then once everybody is done, it should look like this. A little bit of sparkle to it, a little bit of shimmer. Everybody should have some different coloring to theirs. I tried to pair up colors that would go really well together. Ooh, I really like yours. That's pretty. Another thing that you guys can do when you're going through and making these, I don't know how well you can tell, but okay, there. You can see I ended up with like a little pocket here from how my paper was in the cup. If you end up with something like that in yours and you want to fill it in, you can fill that in with glue when you're checking for holes. To me, it wasn't really that big of a deal, so I let it go. Also, another thing that you can do, if you end up with these little scraggly edges, you can also take a pair of scissors and trim all of those down. I didn't do any of that because to me it works without it, but if you need to, you can. And that one's all dry, I'm setting it over there. All right, so I think that that pretty much wraps everything up. Anybody have any questions? Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, these are all so pretty. Yeah, you'll show me yours too. Oh my gosh, I love them. Those are all so great, guys.
I'm showing mine.
Mm-hmm. Everyone did a wonderful job. Did you guys all like this?
Me like did it.
Yeah?
Me had fun.
All right.
I'm gonna wash my hands. So bye.
All right. Well, as Blair said, that pretty much concludes this one. So everyone will probably need to go and wash their hands, clean up a little bit of mess that you made. Hopefully it's not too bad and everybody still loves me at the end of this. So you guys have a good day and I hope that you guys will join us for the next one.